In those days, where sin ran rampant on the earth, there was said to be but one righteous man, whose eyes were opened by the Almighty. It was he who saw the visions, who heard the voices of the angels, who understood everything as it was explained to him. The elect and the holy would see the days of tribulation. The wicked and the godless would see the days of darkness, and everything that was wrong would be put right. But this was not a premonition for this man's generation, no, but for a remote generation yet to come. His name was Enoch, a descendant of Adam, and these were the words he bore. It was said that the Holy Great One would come forth from his dwelling, an eternal God, who would tread upon the earth, even upon Mount Sinai. He would show himself to all who turn their faces to the sky, and he would be true strength incarnate, the master of the heavens, the earth, and everything else. And he would be feared, most so by the angels who had betrayed him, the watchers, who would be smitten with fear. They would quake with great anxiety, and a trembling would seize them, for they had forgotten the face of their God. Upon his return, the mountains would shake, the hills would be made low, and those who had wronged him would melt before him like wax before the flame. And during those times, the whole earth would be wholly sunder. All that exists will perish, and there will be a judgment upon all men. But with those who are righteous, the Lord will make peace. They have nothing to fear. He will protect them. Mercy will be upon them. They shall all belong to God, and they shall prosper and be blessed. Yet those who have sinned, he shall cometh with 10,000 of his angels to execute grand judgment upon them all, and destroy all of the ungodly. All wicked flesh will be convicted for all their wicked works upon the earth, and all the words that were said against his holiness by these ungodly sinners will be greatly punished. These were the words told unto the patriarch Enoch, who was the most righteous of men in that time, and whose life did not end, but rather God took him up to the heavens, for he favoured him so. But before this time came to pass, the earth was filled with wickedness. And it came to pass that when man and woman had multiplied on the earth, they gave birth to many beautiful daughters. Now the angels in heaven, who had been commanded to watch over the earth, took notice of these beautiful daughters of man, and they lusted after them. And they said unto their leader, Come, Semyaza, let us go down to the earth and have these mortal women for ourselves. We are far stronger, far wiser, far more handsome than the men they submit themselves to. Why do the sons of men get to admire and touch this beauty, yet we must stay here and watch? Come, let us go down there and make them wives for ourselves and beget children of our own. Semyaza, the leader, was not one to defy the Lord. He had seen what had become of Lucifer before him, and he was not keen to earn the punishment that would surely befall him. Though it could not be denied, he had glimpsed the mortal women himself, had yearned for them in secret, never daring to let it be known to anyone how much he had been thinking those very same thoughts. I fear if we agree to go down there and do as you have said, it would only be I who fulfilled this duty, and then all the sin would be ascribed unto me, Semyaza said. Nonsense, Arakelbar told him, another angel amongst their ranks. Why, if we go now, whilst God looks the other way, we can be back before he even realizes. We ought to swear an oath, said Ramil, another angel who had also shared the same fantasy. Let it be so that we are bound to it now and forever, that whoever shall descend upon the mortal women with hunger and lust must not return until they are sated. Aye, a splendid idea, said the angel Kokobel. Just say the word, Semyaza, encouraged the angel Tamel. Now more than a few angels had gathered around Semyaza, and the leader knew not that his fellow angels shared his same desire. Daniel, Ezekiel, Barakajal, Aramaros, Batarel, Ananel, Zekiel, Samsopil, Satarel, Churel, Jomjael, and Sariel, many of them chiefs and angels of high standing, all besotted with the mortal women, and more than happy to trespass upon them. Only Azazel, the glum and brooding angel, looked wholly disinterested, yet he'd gathered around all the same. "You would truly do this with me?" Semyaza didn't dare believe it, but all the angels who had gathered around him were grinning heartily, some even salivating at the mouth at the thought of human flesh. Why, it could all be theirs in a matter of moments, could it not? All those years spent watching as the beautiful women were ruined by their lousy mates, ruined by their natural aging, ruined by the earth when it took them back into its embrace and rotted their bodies outside and in. "Come now, Semyaza," said the angel Satrel. "Let us go to the women now." "Yes," hissed the angel Jomjael, slithering around him like a serpent. "The daughters of men look especially delightful today. Even Azazel is game," snickered the angel Churel. "It is not the women I seek," Azazel snapped. It was only then that Semyaza realized he'd not been staring at the women at all, but rather at the chisels and hammers that the men used to build their homes. "Plenty of good-looking men down there too, if that's your fancy," Churel giggled. "Idiot," Azazel shoved him away. "I seek something beyond mere flesh." "Enough," Semyaza had heard them talk. Truth was, he had only been half listening to the rattlings of his cohorts. His attention was swayed by one particular woman with piercing brown eyes, those that had the effect of sparkling subtly whenever she glanced up at the sky. It was almost as if she was looking at him, calling for him. Before he knew it, the words had spilled out of his mouth. "Let us go then." Breathlessly, the angels fell. Rather, they descended, ravenous and inflamed. At first, the women didn't quite know what they were seeing. They thought they were messengers from God, here to bring them good tidings, and so they opened their arms out in welcome. But the closer they got, the more they realized that these were no heavenly emissaries. They were predators, soaring through the air, snatching women left and right and doing to them what they pleased. The men who tried to defend their wives were dashed to the ground, and any who opposed the angel's will were quickly overcome. Some were more gentle, making wives of the women first, and then teaching them charms, enchantments, herbology, and witchcraft, corrupting them, not only their bodies, but their minds too. Others took the form of men, disguising themselves as beautiful heroes, and deceiving the daughters of men into giving themselves up to them. Indeed, the angels knew no restraint when it came to the daughters of men, and they spent their seed amongst them until they had their fill. And the women did become pregnant, and the angels stayed to watch their bellies swell with their child. "A child part human and part angel will be the greatest specimen ever created," remarked Cocoblel. "Imagine it, Semyaza, the beauty of the woman and the splendor of ourselves. What fine creatures would spring forth from them, do you think?" Semyaza smiled wanly, for he had become aware of a change in not only himself, but all the other angels too. Indeed, Azazel had always looked pale and brooding, but that same complexion had spread amongst the rest of them. Their countenance no longer came with that holy shine. Their skin was colourless and dry. Their wings were frailer and blackening by the day. Something had happened to them the moment they set foot on the earth. It only made him wonder about the offspring they had fathered. Would they look like mortal women, beautiful and full of promise? or would it take after their own newfound appearance, grim and grey? When the first woman gave birth, it was a massacre. They sprung forth from their bodies, killing their mothers in a brutal and bloody emergence. These were not the magnificent hybrids they had been expecting, no. These were not even men. These were gigantic monsters who stormed across the land with an appetite for food that mirrored the angels' own appetite for the women. They were ugly, they were vile, they were the basest of creatures. Semyaza took to the skies, for he could not bring himself to share the same space as them. Somehow, his wife had given birth to 2 of the damn things, and they were down there now, twice the size of him, snatching up trees and swallowing them whole. "This is not how it was supposed to be," he heard himself whisper. He could see his wife staring up at him, somehow alive, only just. Her body was torn in 2. Her brown eyes didn't sparkle anymore. "We should go," the angel Danel snuck up to his side. "Say the word, Semyaza, and we'll return to the heavens." The giants, their children, continued to devour the land beneath them, demolishing all that the sons of men had built. Cities were decimated and left to ruin. The forests were crumpled and set on fire. Even the seas were turned red with blood, and not even the fish could survive there. The giants consumed all the plants on the earth, and when they were done with the plants, they consumed all the animals. And when man had run out of ways to sustain their newfound bastards that they had involuntarily adopted, they became the food instead, snatched and crunched between the teeth of the giants. "Why are we still here?" the angel Ramlel pleaded with Semyaza. "There's nothing to do now but leave." Semyaza could not help but feel sick to the stomach when he saw his children brutalize a last stand by man. Only a few of the sons of men remained now, and yet the giants went hungry. They turned cannibal, eating each other, tearing chunks of flesh out of their own brothers, feeding and fighting, the only 2 things they seemed to know. "Semyaza, please," Arakobar shook him. "I don't want to see this anymore." Semyaza couldn't help but gulp as he watched civilization perish beneath him. The earth was wounded with fire and blood, and he could not see a single patch of land that was not marked with devastation. He glanced back at the other angels who had gathered around him, their expressions a mirror of his own. All he could do was ask the same question that loitered about their lips. What have we done? Yet, not all of the angels felt the same way. Azazel had not looked at the women. They had simply not interested him. Instead, he had shown the men that when disagreement arose, they could solve the matter by killing each other. He taught them to make swords, knives, shields, and armor, and made known to them all the metals of the earth. Here, he said, you can wage war on one another over the simplest of matters. You can acquire land by conquest. You can purge one another through the means of crusade, and you can destroy each other for complete domination. And the sons of men found this to be agreeable. Armoros taught the men enchantments. Barakajal taught the men astrology. Kokoblel taught them constellations. Ezekiel taught them knowledge of the weather. Arakiel taught them the signs of the earth. Shamsuel taught them the signs of the sun. And Sariel taught them the course of the moon. This was all once forbidden knowledge that the angels had leaked from the stores of heaven. And from this knowledge arose much godlessness, for the sons and daughters of men committed many grave and terrible actions with these new skills. The suffering was so grievous in those days that a collective cry went up from the earth to the heavens. Now Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, the archangels of heaven, heard this cry. And when they looked down upon the earth, they saw the bloodshed and the carnage, and realized the monstrosities that the Watchers had brought upon humanity. They said amongst themselves, "The earth's cries have reached the gates of heaven. Mankind suffers down below, for the Watchers have brought ruin and desolation upon them. We must bring this before the Lord, for he will know what to do." And so they presented themselves before him, and told him of all that they had seen. "Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, and God of the ages, hast thou seen what Azazel hath done? He hath taught all the unrighteousness on earth, and revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Semyaza, he who was in charge of that whole cohort, has gone down to the earth and impregnated the mortal women, and defiled their bodies and minds. And the women have borne giants, and the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. Do you not hear it, Lord? The cries of the souls who have died in the carnage, and now make their suit at the gates of heaven. Thou knowest of all things before they come to pass, and thou seest these things and dost suffer them. Why? Tell us, Lord, what you will have us do, and we will do it, for the desolation on the earth will only continue." God had heard the archangel's words, and he spoke, saying unto the archangel Uriel first, "Go to the son of Lamech when he is born. His name will be Noah. Tell him he should hide himself from the world, and only reveal himself when the end is approaching, when I will send a flood to annihilate the earth, which will destroy all the evils now thriving down below, Nephilim, Watcher, and man alike. Tell him he is to build an ark to sail atop these waters, and that his seed shall be preserved because of his righteousness." "It will be done," the archangel Uriel said. Now God turned to the archangel Raphael and said, "You will bind Azazel hand and foot, and cast him into the darkness for what he has done. Make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein, and place upon him and his like jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and cover his face, so that he may not see even the faintest trace of light. Let him abide there in that place forever, and on the day of great judgment, let him be cast into the fire, for only then can the earth heal from the damage that has been brought upon its people." Alas, Azazel has done the most detestable thing by introducing warfare and magic, and though he was not the leader of that unholy bunch, I hold him in the most contempt. Because of him, the whole earth has been corrupted because of the works that were taught by him. To him ascribe all sin. As you wish, Archangel Raphael readied his weapon and made to meet Azazel in combat. And to the Archangel Gabriel, the Lord said, "You will lead a charge against those abominations down below, those Nephilim they call giants. Destroy them. Send them one against the other if you must. For length of days they shall not have. Listen not to their pleas and requests, regardless of how intelligent they may appear to become. Shun them when they ask for mercy. Shun their fathers should you come across them. Listen not to their words." And Gabriel bowed and said, "Your will is my duty." Finally, to the Archangel Michael, the Lord said, "Go and bind Semyaza and all who followed him in his lustful venture. Any who defile the mortal women shall meet punishment at your hands. Apprehend them, overpower them, show them no quarter, do unto them what you did to Lucifer. And when Gabriel has seen to it that their sons begin to slay one another, make them watch the horror of such sibyllicide. May they drown in their guilt and wretchedness, as they see their sons murdered before their eyes. Then bind them for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, Dudael, Gehenna, wherever you see fit. Bind them there until the day of judgment. When that time comes, you will lead them one by one, and cast them into the fiery abyss, where they will be confined in the infernal prisons forever and ever." And the Archangel Michael drew his sword, and wordlessly descended to carry out the command. And God decreed that only then will the earth be tilled in righteousness, and only then, after the day of great judgment, when evil has finally lifted from the earth, that the land will be blessed again. Trees will be planted full of goodness, vineyards will be produced in abundance, and from them will flow wine. Seeds will be planted to grow olive trees. The earth will be cleansed. The children of men shall become righteous, and only peace will reign throughout the nations. For this they will offer adoration and praise to me, and all will worship me. The world will be free from sin, free from punishment, free from all torment. Free. Now, before all this transpired, Enoch was hidden, and not one of the children of men knew where he was, nor of what had become of him. And this was because the Lord had set upon Enoch a most noteworthy task. He said unto him, Enoch, you shall be a scribe of righteousness. Go and tell the watchers who have left the heavens to do these horrible things, that they have wrought great destruction on the earth, and they shall have no peace nor forgiveness of their sin. And inasmuch as they delight themselves in lust and their corruption, they shall bear witness to the death of their unholy children. They shall lament at what has transpired, and when they try to make supplication unto eternity, mercy and peace shall they not attain. And so Enoch went first to Dudale, deep beneath the desert, where he saw in the confines of the darkness the bitter and beaten angel, who had taught man how to fight, and given them weapons and armors to wage war against one another. The angel watched him approach, doing little to hide his disdain. It was a mockery to have been served his sentence by a man of all things. Azazel, the scribe, addressed him. Thou hast gone forth and turned man against one another with swords and shields. You have given man the weapons by which he will destroy himself, and you have made him into a soldier of war first, and a servant to God second. You speak as if you are not one of them, Azazel hissed through his chains. Little man, don't dare think you are above me. You are nothing but meat and bones. What do you know of anything? You can't even fly. The scribe showed no signs of fear. He couldn't lose his resolve at the first hurdle. God had trusted him to read the watchers their crimes and punishments. No matter what the dastardly angel would say to him, he swore to himself that he would do what his God had commanded. You are to be bound here beneath the desert for the rest of days. You are to remain here in these very chains, with no request nor tolerance granted to thee. You and your kin shall have no peace. Who are you that you would lecture us? My name, said the scribe, is Enoch. And with Azazel's crimes and punishments read to him, he turned away and left the fallen angel to rot in the darkness. And so Enoch went and spoke to the rest of the angels, all of whom had been beaten and shackled by the holy archangels. And Enoch found them trembling and snivelling, secured by chains and blindfolded, their wings broken and withered. Scribe, they pleaded when they heard him approach. You spoke to Azazel, did you not? God had words for him, didn't he? Tell us, scribe, if you can deliver the words of God to us, can you deliver the words of us to him? Oh, say it so, another exclaimed. We have sinned greatly. We can no longer speak to the Lord, for he will not hear us. But you, scribe, you can speak to him for us, can you not? Enoch walked amongst them, their heads following him as he stepped carefully around their plucked feathers. Truth be told, the scribe felt some sympathy for them in their sorry state, for no one before had set eyes on a fallen angel. These amongst him were meant to be the holiest of the holy, and yet here they were, no more gracious than desperate, sorrowful men. He learned that they could not speak to God anymore. They could not even lift their heads to the heavens for shame of their sins. We are sorry, scribe, they pleaded with him. Please convey this to our Lord. Let him judge us once he has heard our testimony. We have wronged him and humanity greatly, but we are regretful. If only he could hear our protest. May he judge us however he wishes afterwards, but please convey this to our Lord." Enoch lowered his head. He did not find deception in their words, but rather an earnest set of beings who had made some grave mistakes. He could only wonder if God would feel the same way. Perhaps it would be right to bring the Watcher's plea to him first, before he read them their transgressions and damned them to their fate. And so he wrote out their petition and prayers and took himself to the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, to the southwest of Hermon. There he read their petition over and over again, until he fell asleep. For Enoch was so kind-hearted that he wished to give even those who had caused such harm a second chance. And there a dream came to him, and visions fell down upon him. He heard the voice of God, and it was firm, unyielding. "I told you to read them their crimes and punishments. That is all." When Enoch awoke, he knew exactly that which he had to do. He returned to the Watchers, and they were all sitting together, weeping in Abel's jail, which is between Lebanon and Senza, their countenance unchanged from when he'd seen them the day before. "Scribe," they dared to hope when they heard him approaching, "what news do you bring? Will God hear us after all?" Enoch swallowed hard. He took no pleasure in recounting the words God had said to him. As they sat there on their knees, hopeful and desperate, Enoch took in a deep breath and told them plainly, "I saw in my sleep what I will now say, which the Great One has told unto me. Just as he created man and gave him the power of understanding and the word of wisdom, so too had he created me and given me the power to reprimand each and every one of you. I did read your petition, yet you have still been weighed and found wanting. You will be granted no mercy, no forgiveness, no peace throughout all your days. You shall never hear the voice of God again. You will never see heaven again. You will remain here, bound to the earth. Your monstrous sons, of which there are few now remaining, will be put to the sword, and you will be made to watch. Even though you weep and pray and speak all the words under the sun, it will be for naught." Then Enoch spoke of the dream in detail, relaying how he was lifted upwards by the wind and by lightning, and was thrust into the heavens. And there he walked amazed until he came to a wall built of crystals, surrounded by tongues of fire, of which Enoch found very frightening. Yet he persevered and went into the tongues of fire, and there before him was a huge house built of crystal, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor, made of crystal, and its groundwork was of crystal. The ceiling was like a path of stars and lightning, and there Enoch laid eyes on the cherubim emerging from portals, and they were terrifying to behold. He entered that house there, and found it was both hot as fire, yet cold as ice. There were no delights of life, nothing that eased his panic of walking through this divine realm. Soon he was trembling, and the fear got a hold of him. He trembled and quaked so much that he fell upon his face, and beheld yet another vision. There was another house now, greater than the former, and one great portal stood open before him, rimmed with flames of fire. Of this horribly magical place he could detail it no more, such was the extent of its splendor. Yet he spied there a lofty throne. It too was built of crystal, and there spinning around it were the wheels of the Ophanim, ominously silent, with 1,000 eyes watching him. And from under that throne came streams of fire that were so intense that he could not look. The Great One sat upon it, his raiment shining more brightly than the sun itself. No, he could not look at it. He dared not look at it. None of the angels could look upon him either, nor behold his true face, by reason of his magnificence and glory. Not one in the 10,000 cherubs that floated in this space could draw near to the holy God. And indeed, Enoch was frightened of him, and in that moment he could not lift his face from the floor until the Lord had called his name. Enoch, the Great One summoned him forth. Even then, Enoch could not get to his feet without the help of an angel, who had to escort him to the door lest he fall flat on his face. "Fear not," the Lord said unto him, "for you are a righteous man and a scribe of great worth. Approach and hear my voice, and go and say to the watchers who have sent you to intercede for them, tell them that they have lain with mortal women, defiled themselves with the daughters of men, made wives out of them, and done like the children of the earth with their mischief. They have created giants as their sons, and though they were holy, spiritual, and living eternal life, they have ruined themselves with the flesh of women. I ache at their foolishness. Man's time on earth is limited, and so I made it possible for him to extend his life through the lives of his sons, so that the bloodlines may continue, so that legacy would prevail, so that man could always have some stock on the earth which he had once inhabited. But the angels I made them immortal. They had no need to father offspring. It is why I never appointed wives for them. Heaven was their dwelling, not the earth. Therefore they have done something unnatural and unforgivable." Enoch committed every word to memory, for he did not wish to repeat the Lord's words without knowing every one of them. He did not dare speak a word out of place, or miss out a sentence, or deliver a phrase without its proper context. These were the words of his Lord, and he intended the watchers to hear them as they were, regardless of how harsh or painful it might have been to digest. "What of the Nephilim, my lord?" Enoch asked. He knew of certain giants who had settled in and around the earth. They had learned the common tongue, had begun to form packs, congregated around fires, almost like a crude framework of what civilization might have looked like in the earlier days. A shame they had destroyed everything else. Those giants were the unholy creation of spirit meeting flesh, God said. My archangels will purge them and leave their carcasses to rot upon the earth. Their souls will rise from their bodies, and they shall be evil spirits on the earth. Evil spirits is what they will be called. The spirits of these wicked giants will afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, and work great horrors upon the earth. They will cause trouble, and though they now hunger for food, as spirits, they will hunger for carnage. These spirits will find their natural enemy in the women and the children of the women, because it is from them, the women, that those wicked Nephilim sprang forth from. They allowed themselves to be seduced. They worshipped and listened to angels, and they did not worship and listen to me. You would have me address the giants too then, my lord? Enoch quivered before him. Should they have the sense to seek you out, then you will read them their sentences as you will do with the watchers, God told him. Though watch yourself amongst them. Whilst they may learn your tongue, your gestures, your mannerisms, they are not to be confused with humans. I did not create them, therefore you shall be wary of them, and remember that they are a destructive race full of slaughter. Yet when they are dead, and their spirits roam on the earth causing havoc, I will not judge them, not until the day of great judgment. The spirits of the Nephilim will have dominion over us, Enoch stammered. He didn't much like the sound of that, but who was he to question the reasoning of the Most High? They will be allowed to work their evils. Humanity will not be left unchecked. Even after I have brought the great deluge, the spirits of the Nephilim will remain on the earth until the day of great judgment. What deluge? Enoch asked. Didn't much like the sound of that either. It is not for you to concern yourself with, God told him. Remember what I have instructed you in regards to the watchers, and further say unto them that they might have lived in heaven, But were they foolish enough to believe that I had revealed every secret and mystery to them? All that they knew of root cutting and constellations and herb gathering and sorcery, all those secrets that they spilled to the sons and daughters of men, were worthless ones. Say unto them that for all the wrongs they have committed against me, they will have no peace. Afterwards, Enoch was brought to a place in which those who were there were like flaming fire, and when they wished they appeared as men. They brought Enoch to many a strange place, first a place of darkness, then a mountain that reached the heavens. Enoch saw the places of luminaries, and the treasury of the stars, and the thunder in the uttermost depths, where a fiery bow and arrows lit up the sky, and a fiery sword blazed across it. And these men, nay, these angels, took Enoch to the living waters, and to the fires of the west, which received the sun, and at last they brought him to the dreaded lake of fire, in which the fire flows like water, and discharges itself into a great sea toward the west. Great rivers he saw there, great rivers and greater mountains, where all the waters of the deep flowed. There he saw the mouth of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep, and Enoch could not quite believe his eyes. There in this divine realm he saw the treasuries of all the winds. He saw how God had furnished with them the whole creation, saw the foundations of the earth, saw that there were 4 cornerstones in the ground, and how they separated the earth and the firmament of heaven. The pillars of heaven, he called them, stretching out the vaults in the divine realm above. Here he saw the winds of the heaven turn, which brought about the circumference of the sun, and placed all the stars in their places. He saw the winds carrying the clouds, saw the path of the angels, saw the end of the earth, and the firmament of the heaven above. "Come, Enoch," said the angels who were with him. "There is much God will have you see here before you are to return." And so Enoch went with them, and they led him to a place that burned day and night, a mountain range of magnificent stone, where the mountains were built of pearl, jacinth, and coloured stone. The central mountain was formed so high that it reached into the heavens, and was shaped like the throne of God. Now beyond these mountains was a region at the end of the earth, where the heavens were completed. It was here that Enoch saw a deep abyss, with columns of heavenly fire, deathly things that were beyond measure. Further onwards, beyond that abyss, there was a place with no firmament of the heaven above, no earth beneath it, no water, no birds, just a bleak and deserted wasteland. The only sign of life here were the 7 stars that hung overhead, burning like great mountains. "What is this horrible place?" Enoch asked. And the angel who was with him said, "This, Enoch, is a place situated at the end of heaven and the earth. It has become a prison for disobedient angels who have transgressed. God was wroth with them, and so he bound them here for 10,000 years, when their guilt shall be consummated, and they will be relieved." "Is this where the watchers will end up?" Enoch asked. Some of them, the archangel Uriel made himself known, and redirected Enoch's gaze to the desolate and bleak land below. "Here shall rest those angels who have lain with women, and who have led man astray into sacrificing to demons. They will stay here in suffering until the day of great judgment, in which they shall be judged till they are made an end of." "What will happen to the wives of the angels?" Enoch asked. "God told me that they will suffer too for having indulged the watchers and fallen for their deception. But what will happen to them?" "They shall be judged and made an end of," Uriel said. "Those who were led astray will be transformed into ugly creatures matching their natures. They will become sirens upon the land." And there Enoch caught a glimpse of their winged forms, their bird-like features, their ugly faces screaming their heinous songs. and Enoch covered his ears to protect himself from their deadly songs and shut his eyes tight to avoid their cunning gaze. "Take me from this place," Enoch sank to his knees. "Please, Uriel, take me from this place." And Enoch screamed in panic, but when he opened his eyes, he was no more with the sirens. Instead, he was in a place where he saw neither heaven above nor earth below. A place chaotic and horrible, and even worse than the last. There were several angels bound together here, burning inside a great fire that crackled and blazed. The place was a cleft as far as the abyss, being full of great descending columns of flame. Neither its extent or magnitude could Enoch see nor conjecture. "What a monstrous sight," Enoch cried. "What a terribly monstrous place." And Uriel, who strode up behind him, sounded almost amused. "Why are you so fearful, mortal?" Enoch's mouth was dry. "Do you not see this place? This spectacle of pain?" Uriel merely shrugged and nonchalantly uttered, "This is the prison of fallen angels. How did you expect it to look?" In the blink of an eye, Enoch was whisked away to another place, another mountain made of hard rock. And there in this mountain were 4 hollow places, deep and wide and very smooth. "Uriel?" Enoch called out, for the angel had vanished and left him all alone. "Do you know where you are?" Another voice, this belonging to the archangel Raphael, who marched up beside him. "These hollow places you behold have been created for this very purpose, that the souls of the dead should assemble therein. All the souls of the children of men gather here. It is here in these places that they wait for the day of great judgment." Enoch could not count the souls in this place if he tried. There had to be more souls here than there were grains of sand in the desert. It was quiet here, at least it would have been, if not for the irate shouting that echoed between the clefts of the mountain. "Who is that shouting?" Enoch asked. "Why do they sound so upset?" Raphael redirected his gaze, and there in the mountain, Enoch saw a man with a bloody gash on his head. He was bleeding profusely. One side of his head caved in. Impossible to say how he was standing at all, and yet he spoke coherently. "He led me out there under false pretenses," the man was screaming at the sky. "I did not die fairly." "He makes his suit to heaven, as all souls do," the archangel Raphael turned to Enoch. "He attempts to argue and reason with God that his time is not up, and that he should still be upon the earth as flesh, not detained here as spirit." "He was always jealous of me. You saw it." The man showed no signs of calming down. "It wasn't even a fair fight. He struck me with a rock, and he still got to live." The archangel Raphael cleared his throat. He has the right of it, but he is not helping his case by speaking out in anger to the Lord. Perhaps he would have found favor by now if he spoke with more respect. "You even let him build a city." The man showed no sign of tiring. In fact, he seemed to be getting all the more worked up. "What did I get to build? Nothing." "Who is he?" Enoch asked, unable to look away from that gory wound around his head. "He was slain by his brother in the fields many generations ago," the archangel Raphael spoke. "As a result of his death, his seed was wiped from the face of the earth, and he was never given the opportunity to populate the earth." "What do you call him?" Enoch ventured, though he'd heard the stories before. He knew the man's name already. "Abel," the archangel Raphael confirmed Enoch's suspicions. "He is the brother of Cain." Enoch allowed himself to be led away by the archangel, and soon Abel's voice faded into silence. There were other voices now, just as Raphael had said, where souls made their suit unto heaven, begging, negotiating, reasoning with God so that they might escape death and return to the earth. "Has anyone successfully convinced the Lord to change his mind here?" Enoch asked. Raphael chose not to respond. From there, Enoch was warped to another place west of the ends of the earth. And there he saw a burning fire that ran without resting, and paused not from its course day or night, but ran regularly. And Enoch, feeling the heat from this place oppressing his face, asked, "What is this place that rests not?" And another angel, the angel Raguel, made himself known, and he explained to Enoch, "This course of fire which thou hast seen is the fire in the west, which persecutes all the luminaries of heaven." And from there, Enoch was taken to another place of the earth, and Raguel showed Enoch a mountain range of fire that burned day and night. And there were several mountains behind it, magnificent and beautiful. Fragrant trees encircled this mountain, and amongst them was a tree that Enoch had never yet smelt, nor had ever yet seen before. It was delightful in appearance, with leaves that did not wither, blooms that were fair, and fruit that resembled the dates of a palm. Such a magnificent tree, Enoch could not help but express his admiration for it. That was when he was joined by another angel, who floated down from above and landed before him. "You are an inquisitive one," spoke the Archangel Michael. "You have asked about the stars, about the heavens, about the angels in their prisons, even the pillars of the earth. Have you not seen enough, Enoch the scribe?" "I would know everything you wish to share." Enoch licked his lips, couldn't help but feel like the greedy animal who'd been given one too many treats by his generous owner. "Very well," the Archangel Michael smiled. "The mountain you have seen here is the throne of God, where he will sit the next time he descends upon the earth. As for this tree you have come to admire, no mortal is to touch it until the day of great judgment, when God shall come down and bring vengeance on all, and bring everything to its consummation. Then to the chosen few shall it be given, and its fruit shall be for the elect, who upon eating it will live forever." "I know this tree." Enoch stared at it in awe. "Indeed," the Archangel Michael led him away from it. "It is the tree of life." And thence Enoch was brought to the middle of the earth, and saw a blessed place, in which there were trees abiding and blooming. And there was a holy mountain, and underneath that mountain was a stream that flowed towards the south. And towards the east was another mountain, higher than before, and between was a deep and narrow ravine, with a stream that ran underneath the mountain. And to the west thereof there was another mountain, lower than the former, and of small elevation, and a ravine, deep and dry between them. The land here was full of wonderfully fragrant trees, rich with blushing leaves and billowing gracefully in the wind. Enoch fancied he would stay here for a while and watch them, for he marveled at this place and was content with its beauty. "You find beauty in the strangest of places, scribe." The Archangel Uriel floated down beside him. "How can one enjoy such a land as this when, just over hither, there lies the accursed valley?" Enoch didn't want to look. Why trade this sight of a glorious land filled with fragrant trees for a land that Uriel now urged him to come and look upon? He thought he might deny the angel, pretend to have not heard him, so that he might stay here a little longer. But curiosity got the better of him. After all, who was he to deny an angel? He allowed himself to be led away from the trees, hoping dearly to see them again, and then he was thrust before the desolate valley. "Behold, scribe," Uriel gestured at the expanse of dreaded land below. "This is the accursed valley for those who are cursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together, who utter their lips against the Lord with unseemly words. Those who accuse or mock or curse the Lord will be gathered here, and this shall be their place of judgment. And then Enoch was flown across the desert, across the mountain ranges, across the sea at great speed. And when he was set down, he stumbled into the garden of righteousness, where Adam and his wife Eve had been, and where no other mortal had set foot again. There was a tree here that was glorious and magnificent, with delicious-looking fruit that hung from the branches like jewels on a bracelet. "Oh," Enoch said, shying away from it, "I know this tree." The angel Raphael made himself known then. "This is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that same tree of which thy father Adam and thy mother Eve took from. They learned wisdom here, and their eyes were opened. It was the day they realized they were naked, and they were driven out of the garden." Then Enoch was wrenched out of the Garden of Eden, and taken to the ends of the earth, where he saw the portals of heaven, and out from them spilled great beasts and birds, all different from each other, strange creatures that he had never seen and would never see again. And out spilled the stars of heaven, which Enoch stopped to count, and wrote down all their outlets of each individual star according to their number and their names, their courses and their positions, and their times and their months. From there he was taken to another place, to the north ends of the earth, and there he bore witness to a great and glorious device. Here he saw 3 portals of heaven open up, and through each of them proceeded the north winds, which blew hail, frost and snow. And out of one portal they blew for good, but when they blew through the other 2 portals, it was with violence and affliction. Yet on the south ends of the earth and the east ends of the earth, the portals were different, and they showed the stars of the heavens passing through. And Enoch could take in no more as he fell to his knees. The wonders he had witnessed had taken their toll on him. With the last of his energy, he praised these works of God, and continued to bless his Lord, who had wrought great and glorious spectacles. He lowered his head to the ground and praised the work of his angels, who had guided him through these wonders, and promised to tell of what he had seen in as much detail as he could muster, so others could praise the work of the Lord and all of his creations, that maybe one day they too might see the things that he had seen and be blessed forever and ever. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's special episode on the Book of Watchers, be sure to leave this video a like and subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.